Hey there, I'm Bob Dad.
And I'm Bob Son. Today we're going to give you a spoiler review of the movie Project X, where we'll go over hopefully every detail we can remember, and we will also reveal the ending. So if you haven't seen this movie, make sure you don't watch this if you don't want to know what happens. We do have a regular review, which I will leave an annotation and a link in the description. But here we go. So this movie basically starts off with a kid's 17th birthday party, and his friend wants it to make it like this epic blowout that is going to make them so famous that everybody will be their friend. Because right now they're kind of not very popular. People don't really like them, and so this party's going to be their in. Everybody's going to remember for this party. So the kid's dad, you know, he kind of like thinks he's not very popular, which he's right. And he's like, "Oh, I know you're going to have like 5 people over or whatever, you know. Nobody goes in my office, and, you know, just be respectful of the house. Don't touch my car." Because he has a, what, was it a Mercedes? He has a Mercedes. Don't touch my car. So he's like, okay. But his other friend, I mean, he's pretty much out of control, and he's got this idea that it's just going to be, like, extremely wild, and they're just waiting for them to leave. Because his parents are going out of town, so of course they're having it at his house. This kid couldn't come up with this party at his house, no. And so, you know, he just starts telling people about it. And he's like going up to every girl. "Oh, come to the party, come to the party." And he's like doing everything he can to get it out there. Craigslist.
Yeah, it was on the internet. They had called a radio
station. Just everything.
They happened to see a college guy that went to their high school. What sport was he playing?
Well,
was it baseball?
He was hitting with a baseball, and they said, "I'll bring my glove and play catch." They don't ever say baseball,
yeah.
But I think based on that, you can.
So they invited him. They invited him to the party, and he turned it down because he didn't know, because he saw it on Craigslist, I guess, and he goes, "Oh, that's your party?"
He had heard about it,
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm going here," and they're like, "Oh, that's my house," and he's like, "No way." And then the one guy's like, "Want me to bring my glove? We can play catch," and he says no.
Yeah, and he goes, "Well, I'll bring some booze."
Yeah, he says he'll make sure there's booze. So,
which there already was before he got there. There was plenty. I don't know how all these high school kids got a hold of that much alcohol.
Somebody showed up with a keg.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. In my experience, people usually don't bring very much beer to your parties. They expect you to provide it.
Right, and they wanted to have some pot to go along with this party. So the one kid that
he knew a guy.
Right, he knew a guy.
Out of control kid.
And so they went over his house, and
they're like in the ghetto too. They're like scared to even drive. He's like, "Roll up your windows."
Well, we forgot to mention one thing. The good kid, his parents gave him a minivan for his birthday. That was his present.
His mom's old minivan.
Yeah.
Here's my car. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, here, you can have the minivan. But anyhow, they go to this guy's house to score the pot, and there was this a lawn gnome there, and they go, "Oh, we gotta take this apart. This is gonna be
the
our
guy
thing."
goes in the other room, and they're like, "Oh yeah, take this."
Yeah, and then they take it, okay, and then they get their pot, and they leave, and then the guy discovers
the guy gets really upset.
His gnome is missing, you know, and he goes crazy. He's chasing them down. They're in a van driving. He's running after them. He busts the windshield, and
he's like, "Give me back my gnome."
You know, we were watching, going, "Wow, I mean, that's just a lawn gnome."
Yeah. And then they drive up the street, and then he actually runs into the van and
head on into the side window, and it didn't break. I don't know why that.
Not a car.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why that window didn't break, and that was the end of that. So we thought that was the end of it.
Yeah, because you assume he doesn't know where they live. Maybe he sees it on Craigslist. Who knows? So they're finally to the party, I guess. They're at his house, and there's him, out of control guy, the other guy who's their friend. It's kind of the 3 guys the whole time, and then their one friend that's a girl. And it's like the party's supposed to be at like 8, and they're like, it's 9:30, nobody's showing up, and they're like, this sucks, this is lame. And the one out of control guy, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's gonna happen." And then just like out of nowhere, like 20 cars all show up at once.
It's just piling. The whole street's blocked. I mean, because they're just parking everywhere. There's nowhere to park. And they're saying, "Nobody go in the house."
Yeah.
I mean, because they're rich. They get this awesome house, big pool in the backyard, and they put signs up, you know, that women to go in the pool have to take their clothes off, which they do. And I was in high school, and women didn't take their clothes off at these parties, but this one did, so I was pretty good.
So basically, from the time the party begins to the time it ends, it's just everything escalating higher and higher, and them the one kid trying to stop it, and his obnoxious friend the whole time's like, "Don't worry, I have a cousin. He can fix that. He can fix that. This is doable. Because they're not going to be home for like 2 days." So he's like, "We can fix everything."
Right. It's a Friday night.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it, because if it takes me all day Saturday, I'll clean this house. I'll clean this place up for you."
So we forgot to mention this, but before the party, he goes around to the neighbors and like, "Oh, we're having a birthday party for my friend. It might get a little noisy. If there's a problem, come tell us. Don't call the police." They don't say don't call the police.
No.
But it's basically implied, come tell us. So.
And we'll turn it down.
Yeah. So, they basically hundreds of people there at this point, just a few hours into the party, and there's a DJ, and it's obviously way too loud, because they're in a neighborhood, like a subdivision or something like that.
They have a bouncy house.
Yeah, there's a bouncy castle. I mean, it's already out of control. And one of the neighbors comes over, and he's like, "This is too loud. You guys need to stop." And he's like, "Oh yeah. Oh, at midnight we're gonna turn it down." And he's like, "No, now my baby can't sleep. My wife can't sleep." And then one of the security guards, little kid, comes up and tases him, like instantly. And then he punches the kid in the face, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to tell everyone you punched this kid if you don't leave us alone." So then he goes back, and then they send the kid to spy on him. And this kid's like crazy. He breaks into the house.
Yeah, he's hiding
up in
in
one
their
of the
house,
bedrooms.
And he said he can take him out and stuff if they call the police.
Yeah, that kid had some issues. And so they pretty much keep him at bay for a while. And the whole time the party's just escalating more and more and more. People on the roof, skateboarding on the roof. Lots of people in the pool.
And they're in the house.
And then they break the house barrier, and he's like, "No, we gotta get him out." And then just more and more people just going in the house, and they put a midget in a stove, and then he gets mad and he starts punching everyone in the junk.
Yeah.
Like not just punching everyone on his way
Men
out.
and women, it didn't matter, because that's where his reach was. He was crotch level. Yeah. So everyone got punched there.
Yeah. And then, so I guess he gets so mad, he somehow gets into the car and drives into the pool.
Yeah, now the guy's 3 feet tall, and he got a Mercedes, and some guy jumped on top of the car, and he drove fluid into the pool. Yeah. And meantime, the house is just getting destroyed. Everything's getting destroyed.
People throwing up everywhere, peeing everywhere. At one point, you start seeing fireworks going off on the inside.
There was one guy in the toilet. He's throwing up in the toilet. And
I think he was passed out.
Well, no, he was throwing up first.
Oh.
But then he passed out, and then the next scene you see him, and his head's in the toilet, and there's a couple guys pissing on his head in the toilet. It was pretty gross.
Yeah.
But at one point in the house, that gnome got thrown, and it crashed on the floor.
No. They gave it to the baseball player, and he hit it with
the
bat.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. And lo and behold, the thing was full of pills. Now you understand why that guy that they got it from went crazy.
And everybody's like, "Ooh, ecstasy," and they all start taking it. So now everyone's drunk and on ecstasy.
But how do you know it's ecstasy? It could have been anything.
Well, they're really smart kids who do a lot of ecstasy.
They were just taking that stuff, boy. And
so then eventually, this thing is like totally out of control. They said at one point there was 2 DJs, I think, because there was one in the house now and one outside.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds to 1,000 people or more there now, and the guy finally says, the guy finally decides to call the police. And his dad keeps calling. He leaves a message. He's like, "Just please answer the phone. The neighbors are calling me. I know they're exaggerating." They're not. And so he's like, basically like just almost to the point of throwing up. He's so sick over what's happening. And his friend the whole time, he's like, I can fix this.
Yeah, don't worry. If it takes me all day, I'll fix this tomorrow.
Then the news helicopters start showing up, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." And then the kid comes back, and he's like, they call the police, and they're coming back in force. Coming back in force was 2 police cars, which obviously wasn't enough. They just start throwing liquor bottles at it, beer bottles, everything. They're like, "We gotta leave. We're gonna die if we stay."
Well, SWAT did show up.
Well, yeah, but that was a little later. So then, I don't know if it's Craigslist, the radio, the news. The drug dealer finds out where they are, and you just see flames shooting everywhere. He's walking down the street with a flamethrower, shooting people's trees, shooting their cars. He's wearing like this full-out
flame
retardant suit.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Give me back my gnome."
Well, I think he used to be. Didn't he?
He was in the army.
Yeah,
or something.
I think he was in Vietnam or something.
And they said he had a gun collection.
Yeah, he was out of control, and he's just burning up everything.
He did have one good line though. He goes, "You burn me, I burn you," and he's shooting everyone with the flamethrower. Now there's like hundreds of cops there, SWAT teams, everything,
and the police, they're shooting him with beanbag.
Yeah, they're shooting him with beanbags.
That's not doing anything.
It's not affecting him at all. And then he starts shooting towards the cops. So now they're like, "Forget it. We're not trying to take this guy down peacefully." So they start shooting at him. They hit his tank. It blows up. And this is the part I didn't understand because the kid is like on this side of the street, and he runs to that side of the street, and there's like a travel trailer there, and I don't know if he ignited the propane tank or what, but it blows up. But then his whole house is on fire, and it's like, what? So then they're like, oh, riot control and everything there. They end up bringing a helicopter to put out the fire. Like, everybody's running, and it's just crazy, and then they don't know what to do, so they end up just going to the school, and he's like, man, I'm dead. And,
yeah, when the flamethrower guy came there, and then when the police started shooting real bullets at that guy, the party was over there.
I think then
everyone started running then.
Home.
Everyone was leaving.
Yeah. And so, finally, his two friends leave. He's like, yeah, we're going to go home. We're not going to help because obviously there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it's dawn now.
The house is like completely destroyed.
And so they go to the scene where the kid goes back home and his dad's there, and his dad is actually proud of him because he goes, "I didn't think you had it in you."
Yeah.
And the kid.
I mean, in a way, he's proud just that he
thought his kid didn't have any friends, and that he was just such a goody good two shoe.
He did something out of control. He wasn't really happy about everything that happened, but at the end, he goes, "Well, you're still dead, right?"
Yeah.
So, and what did he get, probation or something? They have a thing at the end that says what happens to all of them, but he got found guilty of a couple charges, but that's about it.
Yeah, no serious consequences, I mean, if I would have had a party like that, even if you are rich, I mean, the insurance isn't going to cover everything. Yeah. And, they said he bankrupted his dad and everything, but...
Yeah, there was a love story, too. He had a girlfriend, and he cheats on her almost, and she gets mad.
Well, it wasn't really his girlfriend. It was just like a best friend.
Yeah.
They had been friends, forever, and he just happens to kiss her, and then it escalated from there, and the hot chick that was in school that everyone wanted to get, she was trying to get with him, the goody good guy, and that girl catches him, and she gets all pissed.
But in the end, he ends up back with her, so it's all good.
She forgives him.
And best thing, his torched van, his dad made him keep driving it as a punishment. It's like all completely black and charred and missing doors, and
yeah, the whole inside is like it's all melted.
Yeah.
And he drives it to school the next day, and it's just big black charred. I don't see how it ran. Actually, and
the wiring would probably all melted.
The driver's side doors were gone, so when he pulls up in the parking lot, all the plastic in the car, it's all melted and distorted and stuff, and they're walking to class, and all of a sudden everybody's they're like the big heroes
in
now.
the end, their plan did work. Everybody was so proud of them, and they're all. It was kind of cheesy though. Everyone's just standing in the hallway clapping, like.
Yeah, like they're the big men on campus now.
Yeah. So, anyways, that pretty much sums up the movie. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.